So what I want to do is I want to share with you, I think, 7 ideas in the next 7 minutes that can help you to overcome the burnout, overcome the parental exhaustion, overcome the feeling of being stuck that is so darn prevalent. Are you going to get it perfect? No. Is it going to be hard? Yes. Can you do them all? No. Are some of the things that I say to you going to sound completely unfair, unrealistic, and not even almost possible? 100%. Nevertheless, they're things that work, and I'm going to share them with you because I know that they work. Here we go with number 1. Leave your phone alone. Literally, just put your phone away. Stop looking at your phone. Pretend it doesn't exist. If you can't leave your phone alone all the time, and I get why you might not be able to, because it's pretty darn hard. Like we kind of live and breathe by these things nowadays. At least leave it alone for the first 30 minutes after you wake up and the last 30 minutes before you go to bed. Try it for a week and then jump onto Facebook or send me an email and try to tell me that it didn't make a huge difference in the extent to which you feel burned out. When we sit down at the end of the day, or when we wake up in the morning, it's natural to sort of go, I just want to relax, I want to chill out, I just want to stare at my phone for a bit and veg. The idea of recreation, if you break the word down, is about recreation, about recreating yourself. When you are there on your social media, when you're there staring at Netflix, you are not recreating yourself. You are not bringing it down. Just leave it alone. Even if your meditation is on your phone, Mel, leave it alone for the first 30 minutes after you wake up and for the last 30 minutes before you go to bed. Maybe on the weekend, switch the thing off, literally power it down just for 3 or 4 hours. You don't have to have it with you all the time. Go shopping and leave it behind. And feel the freedom. You're actually going to feel anxious, probably. but after a while, you're kind of like, I don't mind this. No one can contact me, and I quite like it. Your phone is going to be imperative. It's going to be necessary. You're not going to be able to get rid of it all the time. But reduce your reliance on it, especially in the last half hour of the day and in the first half hour a day. I promise you, it will feel different. It will feel better. Here's the second idea. Do one thing for you each morning. Just one thing. Maybe it's a walk around the block, a walk down to the park. Maybe you have a faith tradition, so it's prayer or devotional time. Maybe you're into meditation. Try it without the app. Try it without your phone. Maybe you want to read for a little bit. Wake up 10 minutes earlier and see how it feels to just do one thing for you. Make yourself your favorite smoothie. Anonymous has jumped in and said, I've got a question. What's the correlation between phone and hot mess for kids? It sounds like normal hygiene versus hot mess. So when it comes to devices and hot messes, the research seems to be indicating that younger kids have much bigger tantrums when we tell them to get off screens than do older kids and adults. They don't do so well. Okay. There is a relationship between phone use and well-being. And there's another comment that just came through. The comment came through from Christy Lee, who just said, how though? There seems to be no time before the school run and work. I've got 4 kids. There's just too much to do. So, Christy Lee, I don't want to pretend that you should be like me. You need to do you. But here's what I do, and here's what Kylie, my wife, does. My alarm goes off around about 4:15 in the morning. No, I'm not saying you should get up at 4:15. I know, like I said, unrealistic, right? But for me, my alarm goes off at 4:15 so I can get up and do the stuff that I want to do. For me, that just happens to be a 2-hour bike ride. Okay, so I've got to get up that early. Kylie, well, her alarm gets up at 5. And so she gets up and she does her reading, she does her meditation, she has her devotional time, and she goes for her walk. And by about 6:30, that's all done. The kids are just waking up. And it kind of just feels so different. Now that might feel way too big for you, over the top too big. So if that's the case, the one thing that you do, perhaps, is you set the alarm for 10 minutes earlier than you normally get up. And you hop up and you just sit quietly on the back deck or on the front veranda with your coffee. That's it. Or maybe that one thing that you do for you isn't in the morning, maybe it's in the evening. Kids are in bed, let's say 8 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. and you make a commitment, nothing happening on the phone, on the screen for the next 30 minutes. I'm going to have that time just for me. whatever it is, these are just thought starters, okay? These are things that will turn your life from being burned out, exhausted, and over it, hot mess, into having just the capacity to breathe. Because when your phone is off, when you do that one thing, it feels like you've now got time for you. It feels like it's your time, even if it is only 5 minutes. That's it. Number 3, schedule sexy time. Really, seriously, schedule sexy time. Because when you are over it, when you are burned out, when you are exhausted, you've got the cognitive load that's weighing you down. You've got the fact that the kids are always needing something. But you've also got the exhaustion. And let's be honest, no one really wants to be having their sexy time at 10:30 when they can barely keep their eyes open. Something remarkable happens when you schedule it. It doesn't feel like it's formulaic. It doesn't feel like you're doing it because you have to. You know what it feels like? It feels like it's something to look forward to. It feels like it's going to be awesome. And you can do it in a number of ways. Maybe you get a babysitter for a couple of hours on a Saturday morning, or maybe you or your partner work out a way that you can have an afternoon off work once a fortnight. Now, obviously you want to have sexy time more than once a fortnight, but we've got to be creative about this and find ways to do it. Do you know what? I don't even have a problem with a parent saying, I'm going to stick the kids in front of a movie. Movies normally go for 80 to 100 minutes. That's plenty of time to go into the bedroom, lock the door and say, kids, we've just got to... I shouldn't tell you this, but in our home, we do the taxes, right? Taxes as in we tell the kids that we've got to go and do the accounting, do the taxes. We've got to fill in the paperwork for the accountant. We've got to do the taxes. And we go into the bedroom, we close the door, we say, kids, don't annoy us. Don't knock on the door. We're doing the taxes. It's important. We can't be interrupted. The kids are watching a movie. They don't know what's going on. I'm going to stop there. I don't want to overindulge, go any further than that. Number 4, and Teo said, what is sexy time? Teo, time for intimacy between you and your partner, assuming you have one, or maybe even you and yourself if you don't have one. Number 4, sleep. If you are exhausted, if you are burnt out, if you are struggling to hold it together, please let me emphasize that 8 hours of sleep should not be a luxury item. Now, I know that it's going to be hard to get 8 hours of sleep. I know that it's going to be really, really hard when you've got kids that have got additional needs and when you've got shift work and when you've got lunches and washing and vacuuming and all the stuff to do. But if you really want to feel amazing about your life, if you really want to get over the burnout and reduce the exhaustion, minimize your phone use morning and night, 30 minutes before bed, 30 minutes after bed. And try your hardest to get 8 hours. Number 5, book 2 holidays each year. Okay, here's one of the provocative ones. Here's one of the ones that are like, yeah, as if, how am I supposed to do that? I can't even afford to go and sleep for free on the beach. But I'm laughing because someone just jumped into the chat and said, I'm blushing for you, Justin. And somebody else said, I feel guilty even asking what sexy time is. We're just going to move on right now. I do want to answer one question. Sarah said, how do you get 8 hours if you wake up at 4:15? So Sarah, what I normally do is I'm usually in bed by around about 8:30. That's pretty much when I hit the hay. Around about 8:30, I get up around about 4:15, 7 3/4 hours. That's just fine for me. And everyone's got different levels of how much they can put up with. Anyway, this is not about me. This is about you, making sure you're getting your 8 hours, making sure that you're getting the stuff that you need so that everything works. Book 2 holidays each year. So how do you do that? Alicia says, does caravanning count as a holiday? I don't care what counts as a holiday. Going and visiting the in-laws interstate or an hour up the road could count as a holiday. It's about getting away. So for the first 15 years of my marriage to Kylie, we had no budget for holidays. I was a student. I was starting up my own business. I had no chance whatsoever of creating 2 holidays a year and spending big bucks. So what that meant was that Kylie and I would go and visit her parents, or we'd go and visit my parents. We would go camping at the cheapest campgrounds we could find. In fact, we found some free campgrounds. We just made sure that we had some holidays. And we would whinge and complain that, oh gosh, we don't get to have fancy holidays like all the other people we know, but it's still a holiday. Book 2 holidays a year, get out of town. Even if going on a holiday just means that you have to do all the same chores somewhere else where you've got different appliances that you don't know how to use. Doesn't matter. Go on 2 holidays a year, take the kids, feels amazing. Even though it doesn't feel like, as Natalie has said, much of a holiday with a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old in tow. Beside the point. Because what it does is it gives you memories. Even if you're camping, as happened to my sister-in-law a couple of years ago, and it rains for the entire 4 nights that you're camping, and on the first night, your 6-year-old vomits all through her sleeping bag and all through the tent. It's awful. It's horrible. But guess what? They laugh about it now, and the memories are lifelong. They're absolutely amazing. Here's the next one. Have an overnight getaway once every school term. Again, you might say, this is not fair. You don't understand how hard my life is. I don't have the capacity to do anything. I've got kids with additional needs. I don't have any support. I've got no opportunity to do anything like this. Somehow, if you're creative, I believe that you'll find a way. Here's what we did when we were much younger and had no resources to do it. What we would do is we would contact a friend who also had kids, and we would say, we would like to do this in a couple of weekends. What's the chances that, and by the way, this one is without the kids. This one's without the kids. What are the chances that you can look after our kids this weekend? So the dad would stay with the kids and the mum would come and look after our kids, and we'd go away and have that night away. And then the following month or the following fortnight or the following whatever, I'd look after my kids and Kylie would go and look after their kids and they'd go away. You can be creative. You can come up with all kinds of different ways to get through this. What matters is that you try and do it. And if it's just overnight, there's something about it that's wonderful. And if you're a single parent, you can actually still kind of do the same thing. You can tag team. I'll look after your kids while you go away. You look after my kids while I go away. It kind of works. And if you can, it's just that refresher. It's just that little bit of sanity. It's that little bit of adult time, that little bit of, oh yeah, I am a human. We went through a period where we couldn't actually get any help at all. And so I flew my mum from Sydney to Brisbane so that she could look after the kids overnight. And Kylie and I, when we went away for that one night, overnight getaway, we only went 30 minutes up the road. We literally went from the south side of Brisbane where we were living into Brisbane itself. We stayed at a pretty average hotel, but it didn't matter because we just had a night away and it felt incredible. Steve's just said, single dad here, just went on a cruise with my 2 young boys, best ever. Melissa says, my husband and I are going away for the first time in 7 years without the kids. And there's just something about it that works. Here's the last idea. The last idea is just be in the moment you're in. When we get so exhausted, so overwhelmed, so burnt out, so stressed out, so hot mess oriented because there's just so much to do and it's just so hard to do it all. But sometimes if we just pause and slow it down, see what happens is high emotions, low intelligence, we get caught up in the moment and we get emotionally flooded. Our thinking goes a million miles an hour. We can't think straight. We start saying things and doing things that we don't mean to do. And it all kind of doesn't make sense anymore. We feel overwhelmed. And then the kids feel overwhelmed because they catch it off us because emotions are contagious. But if we can just slow it down, if we can remember to slow it down, take a couple of deep breaths and just be here with our additional needs child who is losing the plot, or in the room with the 4 kids, even though we don't have a partner to take the load off. If we can just pause, be in the moment, there's something pretty special about that. Somebody asked me recently, what's the best part of being a dad? I thought about it for a minute. And I said, I think the best part of being a dad is having these kids that walk in the house every day and say, hi, Dad. Hey, Dad. When we can just be in that moment, when we can just appreciate that we've actually got them, even though sometimes they drive us crazy, even though they burn us out, even though they exhaust us, even though it's all too much. What we often find ourselves doing when we're in that moment is saying something along the lines of, right now is the thing that's made me the happiest today. It makes such a difference.